Let's bring up the waivers.
Yeah, I've got her on my screen right now, and I'm giving us a second. We'll be live.
I think my audio was set to my phone. That's might be the problem. What's that one?
Oh, okay.
Does that sound better? Or?
I should take this opportunity to change my headset. And we are live.
Well, I can hear you better. Let's see here. Bring up the.
Football guys just went live.
Which one are they doing tonight? Is tonight the IDP roundtable? Can't remember what night they do that. They might do that Wednesdays. Let's see. Transactions. Hey, come on, catch up.
So before we rebooted, Brian, you said you were talking about Malik Reed.
I wasn't. I really, honestly, I don't know a whole lot about him. I feel ashamed to admit that. But wasn't it Malik Collins with the Cowboys? I think has had 3 quarterback hits each, or a quarterback hit each of the last 3 weeks, and 2 of them for sacks.
I don't know. I mentioned Malik Reed. I was going to take him for my practice squad replacement.
And Collins took him?
Collins took him. But he's a linebacker playing rush defense or rush linebacker, so he's not going to get any points off of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that'd be perfect to put on my practice squad because I can change him next year.
Right. Isn't that kind of what's going on with what is that? The guy in Tampa, Shaq Barrett?
Barrett.
Isn't he listed as a linebacker?
And putting found one there. That's a nice play.
Yeah, but again, they've got him listed as linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be a hell of a lot better if they had him at defensive end. So,
yeah.
But he can't go on the Texas squad. So you didn't give up Bobby Okereke, huh? You decided to keep him, it looks like?
Yeah. Well, we were talking on Tuesday. I was hoping you'd be on too so I could get your opinion, but I messed up by putting a third on him. And I didn't even realize I drafted him in the first round, I think. So, late first round, so I can't. What's that?
Yeah, so you can't get your value out of him, basically. But here's the thing. He wasn't willing to go up. He probably doesn't have a first-round pick, huh?
Yeah. I didn't even ask. I know John Elan asked me what I wanted for him. I said, to be honest with you, John, I would take a first from just about any team except you guys because you're going to be the 15th or 16th pick. So I would need a first and a third probably from you guys.
Well, that's a responsible answer. I didn't want to hear, well, I'm just not going to trade with you because you guys suck. You know what I mean? That's a responsible answer. That's why you're good.
You guys are just head and shoulders above every other team in the league, and you're probably going to be 16 or 17. So, everybody else, at least I have a chance of getting a higher pick, I guess. So,
I see a kink in the armor. I think it's week 15 looks a little tough. Was it week 15? No, never mind. There's nothing going on there. But you guys you're going to have a tough wrap up to go undefeated.
Week 12, Kansas City has a bye.
Yep.
But I look at this week. Kansas City really did not do anything, unless you had the running backs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And we still put up 177 points, or 75, I think, after stat corrections. So I think we can still manage it. I mean, we're playing Collins, I think. So I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, and well, like you said, so you're 13-1 instead of 14-0. Who really gives a shit?
I think we'll get more trouble from other teams before that. I don't think we'll go undefeated.
Yeah.
But I think week
anything
12
can
will
happen.
still,
Exactly. If
still smoke
Ewan,
Collins in week 12.
yeah, and he's about the only one who watches this, so keep talking about him.
I know. I did talk to him on the phone, and he did tell me I'm like, that's what it's there for, baby.
Uh-huh. I'll tell you the story. And I'm going to keep telling it because he wants to keep talking about it. I don't care what happened 2 weeks ago on the show. We're changing things every week. I'm clicking the right buttons and the wrong buttons. I'll get it figured out. I appreciate the heads up, but if it happened 2 shows ago and it was fixed the last show, consider it fixed. Tell me what was wrong with the last one, please.
Yep.
Who's 81?
Everett, tight end.
That was a pickup in the for All American Idols. Picked him up.
Yep, we had him on, and we cut him. Oh, Cooper, what did he do? He get a boo-boo? Did he get a boo-boo? Yes, he did.
Who? What?
Cooper Kupp got a little bit of a boo-boo on his leg.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, now he's dancing. All right,
Maybe
nice.
A little hyperextension. Oh. Which leg had the injury? Did his sock just fall down to a really uncomfortable position?
I don't know.
That's what he was going for, was the sock, and here he is, touchdown.
Oh, it just had some fiberglass in it. Ah. I hate that.
Yep, here it is.
Yep.
No.
You're going to hear from Rick all season.
So Justin, do you know the rule on that? I thought we got to re-rank players if we replace one.
I was reading it, and I'm trying to remember. We did discuss it. The unfortunate thing is, I don't think any of us knows what we discussed or what the conclusion of the discussion was.
Right.
I thought kind of what you posted on your last one, where you had to use what it was or lower. You couldn't, you know what I mean? So if you had a third round pick on it, you couldn't then switch a first round to another one. But I think you should be able to do whatever you want, personally.
Yeah.
I think you should be able. You could
just
adjust
the rankings whenever. Go out there and just edit it whenever you want.
Yeah.
Well,
depending on how well your player's doing. And you can shuffle and maximize their value so you can keep them. And what else were we talking? Oh, I wanted to ask Craig on was, how do you feel, Craig, about practice squad players if he's already on your roster, just putting him down and not having to clear waivers or anything like that? If he's already on your roster and you just wanted to move a guy up, move a guy down, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
Early. Yeah, see, I think enough of us think that that's fine, that we could probably get that passed.
Yeah. I don't see any reason not to. I don't. I can't see how it hurts the league. I think it benefits owners who do their homework and utilize those roster positions. And that's it. That's my piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've always been a big believer in. You reward the people who are working for it. And I mean, maybe not so much in the beginning. I was big in the anti-Eland alliance in the beginning, and coming up with off-season trading where you have to jump through a bunch of hoops just so some trades don't go through because somebody's on the phone more than you are.
Right.
But I do kind of like the off-season trading the way it is, but I see why some people get really ticked off because they put in all that effort to set this trade up, and then some a-hole comes in.
Only because your partner preaches it to you every time somebody does it.
No, I'm the poacher.
I am too. We poached Garrett.
I'm the ultimate poacher.
Craig tried poaching Kane, so you can't say anything either. I wish you would have.
I love to let other people do the work for me. I just thought it was hilarious, you know?
Yeah.
I can beat that. Well, maybe I'll give it a shot. Let's find out.
That was
so
totally.
Elon complains to you all the time, or what?
No, I think it. But in the past, before we were partners, He had called me one time. I think I got involved in a trade, and he told me what a bunch of crap it was. And I'm not disagreeing with you, John. It's just the way the rules are. You know? It's like, you guys don't do any of the work. I'm the one. I'm like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we're kind of lazy, but that don't mean we don't know talent.
But I don't know. It seems like the off-season trading it's still the same group of people that are out and about checking the website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of these people, unless you come to them, hey, what do you think? You got this player in your roster. What do you want to do? They wouldn't even be looking. You know, They wouldn't even be paying attention. But
yeah,
so,
it's a shame. It's tough to win that way. It really is. It's hard to win when you're working hard.
oh, and exactly. You know the teams that really do have I don't know I don't know if I want to say the love for the game, but you can tell that they really want to win and they're really working for it. You know, I think JJ, if he put more effort into this, would really be kick ass at it. But you got 3 kids, and he's coaching baseball and football and things like that. So I mean, it shows when you're not making waiver picks. And
JJ knows. I
Yeah.
was hoping he'd get on tonight. I actually texted him earlier in the day or yesterday to see if he'd make it with us. So his input is valuable.
Yep.
So in about 15 years, he'll be pretty good, right?
Yep.
Something like that. Yep.
Well, it took me to be really where I felt I could play really well. Probably took me about 5-6 years before I really felt I knew what the hell I was doing consistently.
No.
You know what I mean? In this league, anyway. It took me. I mean, that first draft was a disaster.
Yeah.
An absolute disaster.
Do we have that one somewhere? We need to put that on a podcast somewhere and get that. Maybe do a draft history of the league. That'd be a fun series, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could tell the teams that knew what they were doing in that draft, and the ones that didn't. And I was definitely in the didn't category.
Well, and that brings us to this week's episode of Origins of the League. And being a dynasty league, you really, don't need to draft a bunch of rookies. You don't. Now, after the first year when you're keeping a lot of veterans, that's the year to go after rookies, but do your homework.
Right. I think we're really not a dynasty league. We're a keeper league with a lot of keepers, right? You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
and not the stipulations of most keeper leagues where you lose your pick in the round where we get a full draft, a full 19-round draft after we set our keepers. So.
Right, and it's not just a rookie draft, although obviously the top talent to get on your team is usually rookies. But
right. It could go to the draft. It was how many in the first round? I know last year there's only one veteran in the first round of the draft.
oh yeah, I mean it makes sense. I mean, and I think it's changed since we did go to IDP in the beginning. I think it was like most IDP things. The first good players weren't going till the second round at the earliest, and now, I mean,
Preston Brown, Craig, first vet, pick 110.
Nice. But again, a linebacker. A position of need for everybody.
Sterling Shepard was the second at 2-3.
Back in the old days when we just ran offense, it was hard drafting rookies early because they don't produce. But defensive players seem to step in right away.
That's an awesome point. That is an incredible point because you get how many rookies at linebacker a year? There's upwards of 7, and there's a lot of contribution.
No doubt. I mean,
DK Metcalf, coming in doing pretty good wide receiver, but there's not many in offense that you can put in right away.
Yeah,
every now and then you'll get a running back. You'll get usually that's the position that does come in and produce fairly early running back when they're the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the Ezekiel Elliott's, guys like that, they'll come in but yeah.
Yeah.
But even so, I mean, you still, if you've got that top pick, you're taking a rookie, regardless of offense or defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're
Right.
you're going to get value. You're going to try to get the guy that, whether he ends up on your team or not, you know he's going to give you value at some point during that year. You're going to be able to trade him for something that will help you, which is the way I always approach it. I don't try to take those guys, and I'm not patient enough to wait the 3-4 years for that guy to become a stud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the waiting game, that's the other hard thing.
Yeah. I remember the one draft I had, I forget, we were in, whose basement was that? Corby's or Elan's, or did they live together or something? It was in the basement there. I think
that was Corby's.
Okay. I think I had first round picks that year, needed a running back, and blew all three of them. None of them worked out.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, in the early days of playing, I remember, you know, after we set our keepers, you know, the one position I was weak at was running back. And I just decided I'm just going to take the best running back available. I'm not going to try to get, you know, the best wide receiver available even. Well, back then, running backs came off the board, right? I mean, the early days of this league, running backs were the gold. And so running back. So I ended up taking, I can't remember his name. He's from the Cleveland running back. And it was absolute horse bleep. You know what I mean? And there were so many good players. I look back and like, there were so many good players just sitting there. But I need a running back. You know, I could have got that guy in the third freaking round. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those are the mistakes you don't make, where you take guys in the first that you could have gotten the third, or even in the third you could have gotten the seventh. There's guys that you take in the third that you could have gotten the seventh, but you love, you know, and that's the difference. They're guys that you want, and you know that this league is so competitive that if you want them that bad, somebody else wants them pretty bad too. There's at least one other owner that shares your opinion.
Oh God, yes.
So you better jump.
I get it. Yeah. Every year I miss a player that I really truly want because I think, well, this isn't really his value. And so I'm going to wait. But somebody else has him valued differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you really love the player, take them. Don't worry about if you're doing the right thing. Just get the players you like.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about running back. I think I struggled at running back for a couple of years, and I finally drafted my running back. Had a great year, Robert Edwards.
Oh yeah, yep, Pro Bowl.
And then he after 1 year, blew out his knee and leg and whatever else he did, and so then I went back to the drawing board again, trying to draft running backs, and blew them all. You know, so
yeah, he was playing beach flag football at the Pro Bowl and tore up his knee. And never amounted to anything after that.
I had some pretty good success early on in practice squad with rookies for running backs, Deuce McAllister, and I had Williams at the time from Corby, so that was a great move. And Ray Rice, he had nothing as a rookie and just slid right through, and he kicked ass year two. He was a top 5 running back year too.
Yeah.
So draft pick wise, first round not so much, but done well with the practice squad players there. Probably had a few good draft picks along the way, but Marshawn Lynch, but I traded him before he did anything. So.
Well, that was John Elan's strategy, right? You draft them, trade them, and then get them back when they're good.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He was
Unfortunately, I traded him when he was good.
Yep. That's the thing. He was so good at that. Still is to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Great at pulling shit like that off.
He used to, look at the schedule the whole year and would be plotting moves based on 5 weeks out. So, yeah, he was definitely playing chess.
Yeah.
I remember I did trade the same guy to Elan twice in 1 year, though.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
I traded him, like, I forget who it was, but then he played a couple weeks and it sucked, so we dropped him. He might have even got benched, and then all of a sudden he became the starter again, so I picked him up and traded him to him again.
It was just
Yep.
2 years ago we flip-flopped Doug Baldwin, Matt Jadon, and Patrick Onwuso 3 times between me and Wuso. They know we want him back. All right, give us more picks.
I remember I can't remember the player names. God, the Dolphins coming up. Who did you trade for, Craig? And it seemed like you were on that just horrible run where you'd make a trade and then the player would get hurt. I'm trying. The Miami. I can't remember what player it is, but I just remember you making
linebacker. Was it defensive?
No, this is before IDP. This is before IDP. This is way back, and you just went on a run of like three trades within weeks of each other, and every player got hurt right after you got him on your roster.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, them's the breaks, literally.
That was like Brian last year, I think. Was it last year or the year before?
Buda Baker for Will Fuller, and then we got Cooper Kupp, and it's hard.
You get Cooper Kupp out of my clinched hands because I didn't want to let him go.
Yeah.
He finally offered me enough to get him, and then he gets hurt in that next week.
And that wasn't even me. That was my partner that went out and got him. We did. Oh, he's gonna watch this. He's gonna be mad at me for laughing. But like Justin and I were just talking, I really don't care. I just enjoy playing it. It's you guys are awesome competition. It's really fun to try and beat you guys to the punch on players. So
Yeah, I think that's part of the thing too. You've played against, we've been in this league a long time, so there's certain players obviously that you respect, and you definitely want to beat them, and you want to beat them to the punch on players, and you want to look smarter than they are. Yeah. But a lot of times you end up just not looking smart at all. Mm-hmm. But I know,
but you're not afraid to take the shot, though.
Oh, I definitely don't worry as much. I know we discussed it on the phone earlier, where I think sometimes people are worried about maybe you, me, or Craig, or Eland. If somebody does something that we deem as stupid, that we will call them out on the message board.
And they're a little thin-skinned, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe. So what you're saying is it's on them.
Well, of course it's on them.
Yeah.
Of course it's on them. Yeah. But I just think sometimes people will hesitate, especially some of the newer owners. I think Todd, Big Ballers, when he was in the league, was very worried about what we thought of him.
And that was obvious. He posted it on the message board how, he deserved respect and everything else. So, okay. All right. That's good. You'll get it, I guess, at some point in time, maybe.
Hey, he ended up winning the league one year, and
right.
And I think that once he had done that, I think his thirst to play was over. You know what I mean? He didn't have the desire anymore once he had won it. Mm-hmm. I think it ate him up inside. He just wanted to win it and get out. Yeah. And then somehow his psyche was still, okay, I did it. I don't want to lose again.
I think when he didn't get the respect when he did win it, that probably really opened the door for him. They still don't respect me. Well, not if you're going to ask for it.
Yeah, you're going to have to do it more than once.
Yeah. If you're watching, Todd, the reason I don't respect you is because I know that drafting Darren Sproles in the 14th round is the reason you won that year. And there was no other reason. It wasn't for any brilliant move. It was because you stumbled and you fell on Darren Sproles, and he carried you to a Dynasty Bowl. You had a good roster, but without Darren Sproles, you wouldn't have won it.
And I think we've all...
And I don't think he realizes it.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think the first time I won, I didn't stumble as bad as he did, but I was going after Wes Welker because we were going to combined yardage. And I thought, he's returning kicks, and he's going to be like the number 3 or 4 wide receiver in New England. Mm-hmm. And that was the year they just kicked ass with Randy Moss and him just killing
50 touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't – I didn't expect that. That was just dumb luck. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, I did go after him for a reason, but I didn't expect him to be that good.
Yeah, but you know that possibility exists, and that's why you can rule luck out of the equation, because you know
Right.
that's possible. If that happens and it's never happened before, that's luck. But the fact that it's happened, you're taking shots at that.
Oh, right. I
It's
mean,
just tough to hit it.
it's just tough to get studs
Mm-hmm.
that late in a draft, because they're there every year.
Yeah.
But you got to be the lucky son of a gun that hit the guy down there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think Sammy Watkins was a pretty good player to get this year, right? I got him in like the second round, third round, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't expect much,
Right.
but I can play him,
Mm-hmm.
and you just hit stuff like that. I know
He's,
Craig just
he's going to be
hit
good the rest
linebacker
of the way, though. I mean, right? Watkins,
as long as
back to
he's
just
not hurt. But
analysis. Yeah, I mean, I got him a really solid play. I don't know. I haven't looked at a rankings or made a ranking, but I'd be more than happy to have him as my even a potential number one. You'd be pretty thin, but we don't
yeah, I
have
mean,
much with Hill gone. We got Fuller and Preston Williams right now.
but in a 16-team league, when you really look at how many you have to start, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You start going down the list. So the first 16 players are in our league would be wide receiver ones, right? But really,
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge drop off from 1 to
After,
16. You know what I mean?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, you got what, your top four-ish, five-ish? Yeah. Who do you got in the one
there's,
right now?
I think, well, most people will take your Kansas City guys when like a Tyreek Hill when he's healthy now in
Yeah.
our league. Now in real leagues, I still think people are in love with, your Julio Jones. I mean, but I even saw for the play this week, I even saw the Cincinnati guy, your guy,
Auden Tate.
Tyler.
Oh, Boyd.
No, Boyd being one of the guys had him ranked as the number one play this week. The best wide receiver to play this week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He gets a
So
lot of love. He was one we talked about developing players. Craig, you and I think we caught him. I drafted him the year before with Eland. I think he was the
Who's
first
that?
pick of my draft, Tyler Boyd.
Tyler
And
Boyd.
then you and I had the hardest time cutting him, and look at him today.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I think a lot of people still are behind the curve when you look at cheat sheets and stuff. I still think they're mainly reactionary, not they don't look forward enough. But I mean, I think Michael Thomas, right? New Orleans is considered really good.
I'll be right back, guys.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, look at that. Moore scored, and I just dropped him.
Did he? That was. Well, that's nice.
One catch, 10 yards, touchdown.
Yep. That's the world we live in, man.
Yeah, it's going back to your people being afraid of what we think. I think that makes it hard to trade too, because you succeed in so many trades with they start thinking I can't trade with him anymore because he always comes up on on top of the trade. So
or they perceive that, right? It might not really be that way, but they had one bad experience or saw somebody else get what they felt as being fleeced, and they just now you're a shyster. I can't trust that guy anymore.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with that, really. It's just sometimes they work in your favor, and you talk to anybody, and you'll find out all the trades that people didn't accept, and you are so thankful they didn't accept them because it would have screwed you over if they would have taken that trade. And I've done a number of those. I know John Eland will tell me about all the ones that if somebody would have taken it, he would have just been totally effed, but people didn't. And I think he's probably got the worst rap of anybody because I really believe people think that if he comes to you with a trade, people are going, well, what does he know that I don't? You know what I mean? What is his angle here? But
That's like John called me about that for Bradham, trade for Bradham. He was like, "What do you want for him? I don't want to piss you off or, come in low." I'm like, "I'm really not looking for much. I don't care. Make me an offer." I said, "Brian offered me Delaney Walker so far. That's it." But and then he asked me what I wanted for Okereke too or whatever. But I was like, Bradham, I don't really. So he came with a second. I thought that was way over what it. Or not way over, but about that, second or third,
Well, I thought he went on the high end. We didn't have a third.
Okay.
He asked me which guy I like the best, and I said I like Bradham the best. His snap counts. You know what I mean? He's on, I think, the 4 games, it was like 100, 198%, percent, 100%, 100%, 98%, 100%. I'm like, eventually he's going to have some huge weeks. If you're always on the field, eventually you will have a couple big weeks. Now you're not going to have them every week, but there's going to be those games where, for whatever reason, the flow of the ball is going to him and he's going to put up 20 points, and that's the week you need it. And
I was actually surprised that he had asked me, because I thought you guys were pretty solid from top to bottom. You wouldn't even need one, but
it's just from experience, just knowing the depth you need. You know what I mean? The injuries you take, bye weeks and things like that. You just need as much depth as you can get. We're in a position where, and you are too, really. I mean, we're going to be going head to head on this thing, and me, you, and Jimmy. You know what I mean? Our teams are going to be the teams in the right conference that are going to be going at it. And I know Delivery Boys is improved his roster, his starters for sure, but I think at the end of the day, I don't think he has the horses just yet. We'll see what how many people he can fleece on the way to get there, but he's getting closer.
Yep.
I'm just not. Our roster is solid. I mean, I think when I looked at the top quarterback, obviously you got Mahomes. I think a lot of people consider the best running back this year McCaffrey. We've got those 2 guys, and they help your offense. And then you can fill in with solidness when you're in a 16-team league, right? You're not going to have. It's too hard to have studs at every position in a 16-team with giant rosters like we have. So, but it's fun. Trying to get as many studs as you can in a big league like this. I mean, we traded away Kenny Golladay and Tyreek Hill after this year, and still are managing to play pretty well.
Yeah, if you guys would have kept Hill, dang, you would have had. Well, I mean,
really, we only got a 5th
round. Not helping right now.
But. No, but at some point he's gonna, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping week 6.
Did he get it? Oh, they put him down. Todd Gurley going to get another one. That some bitch. Where's the knee? I can't tell. I try, but back to you, Brian. I really looked at the top wide receivers, and I'm not. I think the big names, especially with Roethlisberger being hit, Hurt, Smith, Schuster isn't what he was, right?
Not at all.
I think
got him in a couple of leagues. Yeah.
So you got, like I said, Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Julio Jones.
Keenan Allen's one who always just slips my mind. I don't understand why.
Well, because he got hurt so much early in his career, and can, you know what I mean? And he, whenever he was healthy, he was really good, but he just seemed to always get hurt. And I don't know. Jimmy's pretty much had him the whole time, hasn't he? Gobstoppers has pretty much had him his whole time in the deal.
Did he get him in the Kamara deal?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's been on Jimmy's roster forever.
Mm-hmm.
I associate Marshall Faulk with his team as well. When I think Marshall Faulk, I think of Gobstoppers.
Mm-hmm. Amon Green for me. I tried for years to get Amon Green from him. After I drafted him before we had a practice squad.
Well, right.
I
That was
think
our
he
first
was
draft.
the reason we implemented practice squad. Yeah, you're right.
Well,
Our first draft of rookies.
Yep. We drafted nothing but rookies, you and I, and we paid for it. And really bad records.
Was that the year you had an 11?
Yeah, it is. It is.
The year what?
I scored 11 points and set the all-time low score.
Nice.
How you can start that many players and only get 11 points? I don't know.
That's a toughie.
You have bad players on bad teams. That's how you do that.
That's
I remember
that'll never get beat.
Nope, can't now. Can't now. We've evolved this league so much that you just will never be back there. But the scoring system, if we want to go to that, Craig, if you want to give a little insight into what your thoughts were heading into creating this league and why you chose or thought about what you did. I mean, PPR, things like that were not necessarily in yet. And yet we still didn't go to a full PPR because we're smarter than that even then. So what were your thought processes when you think back about it?
To be honest with you, I can't remember, but I think we just kind of went through what a valued game would be. You know, what a player would have to do in a game to make it look like he had a good game, basically, and then make that the baseline for scoring points. And yeah, basically that was pretty much everything kind of revolved around that.
So like 100-yard game for a running back, a 300-yard game for a quarterback, 100 yards receiving for a wide receiver, basically, and then coming up with a point total where those would kind of be equal, right? You know
right.
what I mean?
Well, we figured, a 100-yard game is 5 points. That it's about the same as a touchdown. So
yeah,
right.
And at the time when we started, you had mentioned PPR, and I had never heard the term PPR until we.
I don't think it was used yet.
Yeah, and I don't remember playing in any leagues. I was talking with Craig the other night about my first ever draft pick being George Bell, and I didn't drop the name, and you guys were supposed to say you mean Greg Bell, and I said that's what they said. So
you mean?
yeah, exactly. So I knew absolutely nothing, and I was 18 years old and probably almost laughed out of the room and embarrassed myself. So I'm sure I did real well that year. I don't remember the outcome at all. I'm sure it was miserable, worse than the first year in this league. I don't even know if I scored 11 points on the year.
I'm sure you did.
I had the best outfield in the league, though.
Damn right. George Bell was a hell of a player.
But back to the scoring.
Was that the draft that we went to someplace way out in the country, some bar?
Yeah, it was
something?
Champion, wasn't it? Out by Luxembourg. I seem to remember that being the name of the town, County K or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
But that sort of thing didn't exist, and we were playing in a lot of leagues that had ridiculous bonus scoring, and that's one thing that we really eliminated in here was getting beat by one play, and like Craig said, the impact on the game, how valuable the player was, how much impact they had on the game. And I remember going with 8 points for whatever reason. I don't know why we chose that number, and I remember more basing it on 80 yards than 100 yards. Seems to me like we went like 5 catches for 80 yards, 6 catches. 6 catches for 80 yards brings you to 96 catches and 1,200 yards on the year, I think. So it's a pretty decent season. And break that down to that on the game. That's how I remember coming up with the receptions. I don't know why we came up with a minimum ever other than just that fact. If you only had 3 catches, how much could you really impact a game?
Right. I know I do remember the disdain for one big play killing you. So like a lot of leagues back then, a 60-yard touchdown run was worth more than a 1-yard touchdown
Right.
run. And I remember people just no. And this, you guys especially, did not like that. And that was something we were not going to have in this league.
And I think probably one of our points was, you got a 60-yard run. You're already getting the 3 points for the yardage that you gained to get to that touchdown. Plus, you're getting the touchdown. So why get bonus points on top of that?
Right. And I think bonuses in general were not wanted. You know what I mean? Not like that.
Yeah. And that was it at that point in time as well. It was pretty much you got 6 points for 100 yards, and we changed it to 1 point for 20 yards and went that route because what's the difference between a guy getting 99 yards and a guy getting 100 yards? It's a damn yard, I can understand a point separation there, but 5, 6 points, that's a game. That's a win, on 1 yard. So literally a game of inches.
Right.
Well,
Fantasy football shouldn't be.
We still have, sometimes we have the gap where you can get big on one play.
Yes.
Which I've gotten beaten in the fourth quarter by a guy getting his fourth catch for a touchdown. And they get the yardage. You can get up to 8, 9 points that way. So.
Yeah. And you're right. But the only reason that one play is there is because he contributed throughout the course of the game. So it does justify
he finally
it a little bit.
hit a certain marker of I guess that you earned it through the course of a game. You got to get that fourth catch, and that's the thing. We don't have a true PPR. That I kind of like it better this way.
It makes it a lot more fun to watch. You sit and look at the number 2 catches. Getting late in the third quarter. Come on, get them 2 catches already, and you sit and you wait and you watch for it. And it is, you're sitting at 3 catches. Juju Smith-Schuster the other night, 3 catches for 15 or 18 yards. That's not in this league. You got nothing. You did nothing. You should get nothing. So it's
and I remember that argument clear from you. I think you basically just gave
it was louder then too.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's held up. That's the thing I appreciate is it's really, we haven't touched too much of it. I mean, most of it has stayed intact. We've tweaked certain things, but the basic framework has stayed the same.
It really
the only
is
couple
amazing.
things that we've changed the quarterback a little bit because I think after 1 or 2 years we changed it to the 100 yard. Before you get any, I think we want a little bit of separation or something like that.
I remember, I thought we started with, and I don't know how we came up with this, but probably the same thing. You didn't do anything if you only had 100 yards, So we started our points we started the quarterbacks at 100, was their 0. And then you got a point for every 40. You basically got your first point at 140 yards passing. And we've recently changed that. And the reason for that was because that was the way to make 300 yards then 5 points.
Right.
But we didn't change it, did we?
We changed it to, it's at 50 yards if I'm not mistaken now. I think it's a point for every 50. Well, I got it right in front of me. Why don't I look at it?
It's still 40.
I mean, we might have changed it back.
Yeah, it's 140. I got you guys in my way. Oh, it is back to that. So it's 1 point for 140 and then 1 point for every 40 thereafter.
I could have swore the first year we had it at a normal 50 yards, and then we changed it to the 100 and then 40.
You could be right.
I know we had it at 140 for a long time, and then we changed it briefly, and then changed it back, which is the right thing to do. I think this is the better way to do it. But
and the only other thing I can think we changed was the running back touches. But
I don't know that one really works, but it's. I don't know if it's any worse either. I think it limits some of the depth at running back. Your pass catching running backs are garbage in this league. Tariq Cohen is garbage in this league. He's garbage in most leagues this year, but even last year in this league, Jalen Richard, I chased after him big time because I saw his 70 catches. I never looked at his score. It's 56 points. I
that's
think that's
something.
horrible when you consider what a receiver gets for that, or a tight end for that
Right.
matter. That's an elite tight end.
Right. We've always, because I mean, there's the stigma. The running backs, when we first started this league, we didn't want to give them too much because they were the touchdown guys. They were the ones touching the ball and getting the yardage. So people were afraid. So we didn't give them the same benefits
That
that we
was
gave
Emmitt
wide
Smith
receivers
and
and
Barry
tight ends.
Sanders scoring 20 a year.
Terrell Davis, you know what I mean? Those guys were killing it. So when the running back situation in the NFL evolved, we were trying to still catch up to it and trying to figure ways to make running backs more relevant now as they lose relevance in the NFL. And I still don't think we've cracked it. I mean, I want those guys to be valuable. And a lot of guys in this league refuse to budge on it to this day.
Yeah, and I remember, I think that one got changed while I was gone for a year or two. And I don't know the argument for, why
For
it was.
touches?
Yeah.
Again, the lack of it. Yeah.
We're trying to bump them up. I've tried several things. I mean, but people just, they're afraid of the guy getting 10 catches in a game and just blowing up. And it's like, well, then he blew up because he had a big game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He's getting used a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that we still need to visit. It's not perfect, but as a whole, the scoring system has stayed. It's in the 90% the same. 90+% of it's been since day one, and it's worked since day one, and that carried over to when we added the IDP to the league, and we were able to do the same thing with tackles we do with receptions. Give guys different baselines where they need to start at, and different points for that, so that it came out a great defensive tackle was as good as a great linebacker. And you can't quite accomplish that, but we got it pretty close. I mean, J.J. Watt led the league in scoring one year, did he not? I mean, we've had different positions. MVP. It doesn't matter. We've talked about it at length. Other leagues, where do you draft an IDP player first in an IDP league? In our league, first. Depending on the year and the linebacker or the defensive end or the safety, even that's there.
But it took a long time to get to the IDP. For years and years in this league.
We fought
People argued over team defense, and they were just frustrated that a relative position that people disregarded and thought was useless, like a punter, and you'd get beat by that defense. And
Baltimore
people would
Ravens.
complain every year. They would complain every year. That team defense, we got to change it. So how many times do you think we changed team defense in this?
Well,
how we scored it?
True though. That's a good question.
I mean, we changed it almost every year. We were changing how we scored it. Almost every year we would go in and tweak it.
I bet until IDP, yeah, you're probably right. Not every, but I bet you we changed it, a good 75% of them are close to it, 60 to 70% of the years.
We probably didn't change it for the first several years, but then we changed it probably 3 years in a row, and then maybe ran it a couple years and realized we had to change it again. So I think one year we went with just punts or something, didn't we?
I was just so annoyed that to me, it's a position. If you get a good one, then if you don't want to get beat by it, go get a good one. Quit treating it like it's not relevant then, because it is relevant because you're losing with it. So
another outside the box thinking on scoring was the kicker scoring and that's what's fun about this league. You can bring things up, and if it's a good idea, you can get it through because people think about it and rationalize it, and they'll shoot down the bad points and call you out on the nonsense. But if it's good, giving a kicker 2 points for his second every even numbered extra point, because it makes a high scoring, that's what you're going for. It's about predicting, and you want to predict kickers. How do you predict kickers on high scoring teams, right? And then they go out and they
Yep.
kick, 5 extra points, and you lose to the guy, Matt Stover, who scored 2 field goals, and one of them was a 50-yarder. He doubled your points.
Yep.
So I really like that. And then we also changed the yardage from 25 to 35 for a 3-pointer, and 4 points at 35 to 45. You just don't see stuff like that. And I think it gives the kickers a little better definition.
I
Yeah.
definitely think the extra point rule is something that you'd only see in a league like this one, where some progressive owners liking to do that. I mean, you will see the field goal kicks. You will see leagues
Yep.
that have gone to that now. I think we hit that stuff a little earlier than a lot of people do,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I've never seen anybody else do the extra points the way we do.
No, no, I don't know where it came from, but you just think of stupid stuff sometimes, and you throw it out there, and it sticks. So.
Want to
I'll
get
tell you what sucks is when you're trying to prepare for your draft and you're trying to set up your draft software with the scoring rules.
Uh-huh. That's another thing that makes this league great. You got to set up your own draft. There ain't no cheat sheet.
It makes you create, and I
Yeah.
mean, I still use Draft Dominator a lot, but over the years I've learned how to tweak it
Uh-huh.
to fit the league, and
I
you
mean,
have to come
how
up with
much?
your own little
So
formula.
how much do you give per tackle for a linebacker?
I'm not telling you.
I think. What do I do? I think I do 1. Well, obviously a linebacker is 1. Well, no, it's a little more than that
No, they're
because
not. I'm going to scroll down to that for what do we have for tackles?
you got
We're
to get
on
4, and then you
rosters.
get 4 points. So that's
Right.
1.
So
But then you get more than that after that. You get 2 per 1.
right. So basically, you have to fudge the formula. I mean, in the past, I would just try to. So I try to get to 5 points for 100 yards, right? So you just 0.05 or whatever. You plug those numbers in. But I want to be a little more predictive on stuff. So I come up with my own little, and usually it works.
I
Yeah.
always
I
did 0.67 for wide receiver, I think, and it was no, it was 0.75 for wide receiver, 0.67 for running back, and 1 for tight end for catches.
Well, now it's 0.17 for running back, or 0.14.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Something like
it.
that.
That
'Cause
Yeah.
right. Now another thing in oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the tight end premium leagues. That's another term I never really heard of, and we've always been a tight end premium league. Well, since year
Yep.
2, tight end premium league. So it gives 3 points for every 4, like you guys said, for a wide receiver, and then 1 for every 2 thereafter. Whereas the tight end, if you reach 3 catches, like Jason Witten liked to do, you light it up. Novacek was the guy that
Yep.
carried
Yep.
me to a big win in the fourth quarter. I think he had 7 catches on a fourth quarter drive for me.
I But
yeah,
little things like that led us, the arguments over team defense led us to the IDP. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? It was like, okay, if you don't take team defense seriously, then let's just do what we do with the offense. Let's just have individual players then.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
that was your doing, Justin. There wasn't a person in this league that had any interest in going to IDP. And when
I'll be honest with you. I don't necessarily think I did it first, but I was just so sick of arguing over
Mhm.
team defense. Let's just fucking go way out of the box and fix this thing.
Who do you remember bringing it up? Because I only remember hearing it from you, and I really didn't like it because I didn't want to put forth the effort.
And that's the pushback I got. I think I brought it up for probably about 3 years before we actually took it
Hmm.
seriously.
Yeah.
And then and
Well,
it's just like what you said. I think people just realize, man, I'm gonna have to know the starting safety for every fucking team,
yeah.
strong
Oh
safety,
yeah,
weak
it's
safety,
tough.
corners,
Yeah.
linebackers. That's gonna be a lot of work. And
And you're
and
not
then
exaggerating by saying every. I went to the week before the season to look for a starting safety, and there was one left, and I took him.
yeah, but and on top of it all is especially when we were doing this originally, uh, you weren't gonna find help online. You
No,
know what I mean?
no.
You're on your own
Uh-huh.
trying to figure it out. So,
I remember doing it and having to draft at Jimmy's house
yep.
and being excited about it. So I think I was on board right away.
Yeah.
But again, I knew nothing about defense because I've always known offense. And now I think I've learned a lot the last couple of years being teamed up with Brian the one year and kind of getting a start on and finding out where points come from, really, which positions. So
it's just like anything, right? Know your rules. Once you know the rules and how stuff works, and then it's really not that hard.
One of the things also with the snap counts is so huge on defense, like targets on offense. It's you have to look at snap counts and see trends. I had talked with Justin about Drew Tranquil. He had zero snaps the first 3 weeks, and last week he had 19%, which was 10 of the snaps, and he had 3 tackles on those 10 snaps. And I'm really thinking about bring him up just because he's a trending player, and that's how you succeed in especially a deep IDP league, is finding those trending players. You and I had a lot of success with defensive line in the year we played together, Craig, just finding guys that were doing stuff. It seems like they when they're in that mode, I don't know, they seem like they get in a streak where they can get to the quarterback, and that's where we get points, is you get to the quarterback.
Yep.
I think that's still been my strength last year and this year's defensive line. So
yeah,
I forced linebackers this year by drafting all linebackers, but
but it worked.
Yeah,
it really did. So
I recommend that to anybody with a lot of draft picks, and tight end figures into this now too. Is those are positions you're going to really have to hit hard in the draft, and I think we'll see more people realizing that. And it's going to be harder and harder and harder for those of us who don't have the real high draft picks, because people like, I remember, who was that got drafted? Quincy, was it Williams, and you were like, what the hell is he being drafted way up here? You know what I mean? Because it's just value now. You got to get him when you can get him.
I just thought he was more of a sleeper, especially with the injury before our draft, and but I didn't realize he was that big of a house name to every owner in this league. So.
I was, to be honest with you, I was looking for a rookie that was starting, and he, I moved him down my chart when I saw he got hurt, but then they said he was going to be back in a week or two, so I'm like, okay, so I'm maybe a week,
And
I lost a week.
That's good research. That was an outstanding job, because he was certainly worth that pick.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows when if Telvin Smith comes back, if he pushes him back out, but.
That's been a thought on my mind since we have Telvin Smith. I don't. Does he walk back into the starting job? Do they find a way to have them both on the field?
Yeah.
Justin?
But there's no news whatsoever on Telvin Smith. So who's he? What's the deal? Is he even coming back?
My belief is there's a team chemistry thing, and I think if he just walked back in and they gave him that job, I think there'd be some trouble in that locker room. You know what I mean?
I thought Chimene was waiting for Jalen Ramsey to leave.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, that guy, you can't trade him because you can't set that precedent, but boy, you got to find something to do with it. You can't let a kid like that just push you around.
Yeah, I don't even know what the story is. Do you think that has anything to do with Telvin Smith, or you just think Telvin Smith had something personal he doesn't want out in the media and just wants to be left alone for a little while?
I mean, there might be a little of that where he thought, maybe he did feel disrespected at some point by
it was a train wreck there last year.
Right. And then he thinks somehow by not showing up, he's going to show them. But, just like anything, life moves on. You can quit a job, you can do whatever. They still move on without you. You know what I mean? And they did.
And that's what it seemed like it happened with the news, because they went back and forth about he missed a practice or something, so he got fined, and I had an excuse, and went back and forth, and he's like, okay, fine, and I need to go get my life in order.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I didn't catch that early part of it. I only got the second part of it, but I still like having him on the roster. It's worth every penny.
Yeah.
Well, it always depends on the price, right? Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're not paying a huge price for it, yeah, it's worth the shot, especially
We
in our
talked
league.
how many times exactly about the size of this league. To get a player of that caliber, you're looking at a guy who scores in the top 5 at his position and could even be a top 10 scorer in the league at all
Yep.
positions. So they're very hard to come by.
Yeah, I kind of wish I would have kept him now, just because who was my keeper instead? Sean Lee, who lasted 2 weeks on my roster, and I dropped him anyway. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was real happy when you finally agreed to the deal, but you never know. We haven't gotten anything. He may never play again.
right.
Who knows? Robert Smith. Maybe he's going to go
Yep.
be a doctor.
Or then decide, nah, I'll just go on TV. That's
Oh,
easier.
turns out pimping is easy.
Yep. Very much so. Lion sacks up. Bleep. No, but for the most part, I think linebacker has become that coveted position. You better fill it to compete in this league. You know what I mean? Because if
And
you
we
don't have them,
haven't, but we're still trying to. I don't know. There's a lot of players out there, but having to get 4 tackles, it seems with the way the league's gone to passing, that thought kind of crossed my mind a little bit that the linebackers, there's a lot more defensive backs than linebackers just because of the nickel corner role, that sort of thing. So they're just, when we started this, the game's a little different. It wasn't that long ago we started IDP, but it's clearly more of a passing game, and there's less of a role for linebackers overall.
well, you see they're doing that RPO. You know what I mean? So you got all the
Yeah.
RPO going on, and so teams, are spread out. So you'll see teams only put 2 linebackers on the field.
A lot of it. That's why
Yep.
Bentley's nothing right now.
Yep.
And
It's
then that becomes the art in playing IDP is how much are they running that in the game as opposed to a
yep.
4-3 or whatever, and
Exactly. It's hard. I mean, it's a part of things I love about this our league, though. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Is we will evolve it if we start to see a trend in the NFL or something's going on, we'll try to
Mhm.
find a way to get that to work in our favor, or get our scoring system to match it.
Part of the good reason of having MFL as a website, give them a little plug for,
Oh, no
is
doubt.
keeping the history that we've got that reference. It's only a click away, and we can check out what happened last year at every position and
Yep.
analyze which way things are trending and try to keep it true
And allow
true in
us to
scoring.
put that scoring system in,
Hmm.
right?
Oh yeah, putting together the IDP was a treat. It's
You know,
just changing scoring systems, and the only problem was waiting for the results to come back because I wasn't really using software. I was using their website to do it. So you're
yeah,
sitting and
yeah,
waiting for it. Speaking on that,
yeah.
how do you like how like say a sack breaks down? You play in another IDP league. Craig, what do you get for a sack in that league? Just a sack. What does your player get?
Let me see. Go to that league here. Settings. Like I was telling you the other day, it's kind of ridiculous though, because I got that Barrett on my team, and he had like 60 some points to one game,
Right.
and 2 other games with 40 some. So
Hmm. And we play in that Junkies League, that salary cap one, and it's like 2 points a tackle or 3 points a tackle or something like that for defensive tackles, and you can't differentiate by that much on just a tackle. You got to find a way to reward it some other way, and going through it, setting it up, I never thought that it would work the way that it worked by giving points for a tackle for a loss. That's another thing you don't see in IDP leagues, and points for a quarterback hit. I've never heard of that in another league, but they do. They impact the play when the quarterback's hit by a defensive
You
lineman.
know,
So to give that point the way it accumulates with the sack, and then therefore a sack is worth 4 points because you got the point for the hit, you got the point for the tackle for the loss, and then your tackles, everything adds up to the same amount of points that you get in the other league, but you get it one at each level. So you don't need the sack to get a point, but you get that point for it.
Now, how do you feel about the fact that you really don't know if you won a close game until the stat corrections come in, where you really didn't deal with that when we weren't IDP?
I think goes back to the respect for ballers, and we had the argument that he's gonna have to wait till Thursday to lose, and that really is not a reason to not use the true stats when you're playing a game that's based solely on stats. That's how I feel about it.
It
The one
doesn't
thing I would
bother
like
me
to
at all.
see, I would like to see waivers run earlier based on I don't know what you'd call it, preliminary results, I guess. And then if you get changed, you get changed. Big deal. You lost a waiver spot, I guess. But
Yeah.
I just would rather have our players earlier in the week than have to wait till Thursday to do it. But I don't know. To answer your question, we get 7.75 points for a sack,
Yeah.
plus another 3.5 for a tackle for loss, plus
Holy
the
cow.
1.75 for a tackle. So
Okay. No quarterback hits though.
I don't think so. I don't see it.
Yeah. I don't know. You get a couple sacks in this league, you're pretty much at double digits. And I don't know.
Yeah.
If that's your only contribution to the game is 2 sacks, I think 10 points is enough. I don't need you. I think you need 30.
Right.
They're usually drive enders, but not all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with a sack on first down isn't nearly in real football as valuable as a sack on third down, right?
Mm-hmm. What else do we got for? Do we have different for safety and corner? No. They get 2 points at 3. No. Tackles plus assists divided by 2. Okay, yeah, they get 4 for 3 points and 2 for every one after. So you really do start piling up points after you get the bonus with the 2 for every after.
The one thing I laugh at people in this league, though, is people who do not want to move their players from linebacker to defensive end because I want the extra linebacker, or if that's really their excuse, but the player is being wasted.
Yeah, because he's not really a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you have to get to 4 tackles. He's rarely going to do that. So he's going to end up with 0 points because he doesn't get to his minimum tackles. Maybe he'll get some points for defended passes, but
yeah. Well, Clay Matthews is the perfect example. I mean, if you put him at linebacker and he was nothing, he's all pro at, or he's 2 is not that hard to get. 2 tackles. 4, like you said, it's a different story.
Well, and somebody's got Zadarius Smith this year at linebacker.
Okay.
Spider's
you had mentioned him being wasted.
Yeah, and he's had that one game where he had 2 sacks and he had 7 points.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That would have been 15 points if he was a defensive end. So.
Right. Yep.
Now, you said if that's basically insinuating that maybe some people just aren't paying attention, or
I don't know that.
You said that's AAI, right? Idols. Yeah. I mean, he's pretty much the defensive end linebacker guru as far as putting in who's.
So why wouldn't we have done that?
Well, that's I'm wondering if people slept on it, or
Like
is it
you
because
said.
they thought they wanted extra linebackers?
But is that really a linebacker you're ever going to put on your
Well, I
starting
mean,
lineup?
looking
Yeah.
at my own team, yes, because we're miserable at linebacker, so I can see it because I'm living it. I would be happy to have 7 points. I mean, we got two guys that we almost have to start, and they have 4-1 on the year. So
That does make it difficult, as they say.
hmm
Well,
but
fellas,
we're
I
getting
think
there.
I'm going to head to bed.
Yeah, we covered a good portion of it tonight. I'm almost, yeah, it's after 10. Nice. Hopefully
Okay.
the audio went well. Otherwise, Collins is going to call me 2 shows from now and tell me that the audio didn't work 2 shows ago.
All right, Collins, this is for you in 3 weeks from now when you're going to complain about the audio.
Test
Don't do
1
it, man.
2. Test 1 2. Mic check.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is working out better than the Facebook page. So.
Yeah, I think that was mentioned. Once again, ballers. Not a Facebook guy. If I'm gonna put it out there, it's got to be live, real, and not some hiding bullshit behind the camera, typing behind the screen.
That's right. Well, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. You too.
Craig, when are you good to do another one?
What is it? Thursday?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be in Green Bay again this weekend, but I was talking with Justin about maybe doing the 8 o'clock doing a pregame on Thursday basically, and then a postgame on Sunday. So like 6 and 6 Sunday and Thursday, and 8 o'clock on Tuesdays with Jim.
Sure.
Okay. And then
Sounds good.
keep it open for anybody else who might want to join in, but it doesn't.